the best performing prime ministers. So if I can produce work in such a short time, I want the leader of opposition to appreciate.
It's very possible, by the way, that the Prime Minister does not even know the contents of the committee report. But she was very quick to rise up to defend.
Honorable
Speaker, I am on procedure. Legal Committee Chairman, Honorable Namuyangu, I am on point of procedure. You're always absent here. You don't even know the rules.
Please.
Prime
Minister, order. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. Let's have calm. Let's now finish his statement to the committee. They are supposed to report back. And we give them 45 days, within the 45 days. Now, if the committee finishes work in one day, who am I to say that, why have you finished it today? And secondly, when the work is done, I apply rule 26. I put this work on the order paper. I do not get involved in the committee work. Committee work is by the whips. Government chief whip, opposition whip, independent whip, all those ones. Prime Minister, maybe you could answer why you have hurried with your work to bring in the House. Prime Minister.
Honorable Speaker, I would like that you guide. Last week, before you adjourned the House, I did raise a critical matter regarding the bills that are before us to process, which are on the order paper for second and third reading. And the complaint that I raised at the time, Honorable Speaker, was that we were hurrying through the process. I even tabled here notices by the clerk to Parliament and the clerk to the committee, inviting very hastily stakeholders to come and give input to the UPDF amendment bill and, of course, the political parties amendment bill. Honorable Speaker, the stakeholders that were invited, most of them received those communications at 8 a.m., requiring them to be present before the committee at 9 a.m. Uganda Law Society received their letter at 11:50 a.m., and they were being required to appear at 12 noon, 10 minutes later. And yet that was the only day available for submission of views, memoranda, and so on and so forth. When I raised this issue before you, Right Honorable Speaker, you committed and said that I should not worry. The process is going to be given adequate time. After all, according to our rules, we've got 45 days within which to process these bills. That was your commitment, Honorable Speaker. You said, let me not worry. You're going to give adequate time to process these bills. And some of these stakeholders actually wrote back to the committee requesting for time on Monday, Tuesday, and so on. But as we went into the weekend, colleagues on the committees that were considering these bills were at a hotel considering the bill and writing their reports. In other words, disregarding the views of the different stakeholders. Honorable, I don't know if you want to allow information in my procedural point.
Can you finish on your procedural point?
Even though I know he had a very critical issue to, to beef it up. But like I was saying, Honorable Speaker, it appears as if there was a machination to lock out the different stakeholders. And yet you committed, Right Honorable Speaker, that there's going to be adequate time. And I said, we are going to follow your guidance, which you gave here. But that did not happen. I don't want to think that the Speaker lied to us as the House. Or could it be that the committee disregarded your ruling? Because when you speak, when you're in that chair, you're giving guidance and ruling. You said the committees are going to avail adequate time. But the committees went into the weekend and they began to write their report. What happened, Right Honorable Speaker? Did the committee disregard the guidance that you gave? I would request that you help us on that matter. Interested people as stakeholders to give input. Because you see, our law passing process is supposed to be consultative.
Can we look at that
Right,
when we
Honorable
reach to the
Speaker.
bill?
But that's all right. Let me finish this, right, Honorable Speaker, and then you'll guide. So the reason I have insisted on this matter is because there were stakeholders who were saying we want to give our input. And you looked them out. That's the challenge. You can produce and process a bill in even 1 hour.
No, as of now, we don't even know which stakeholder they interacted with.
I am a stakeholder, right, Honorable Speaker.
So what we need to do is to wait and hear which stakeholders they consulted.
Allow me to finish and then you rule, right, Honorable Speaker. I'm a stakeholder. My political party received the invitation at 8 a.m. saying come at 9 a.m. That's the National Unity Platform. We wrote to the committee and they received the letter requesting that this was very short notice. There's no magic we could do.
That is
and requested for Monday
that is on which bill
at
now?
9 a.m.
Which bill now are we talking
on the
about?
UPDF amendment bill.
Okay, let's first start with the
allow me to
bill.
finish, right, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Lord.
The committee received our letter. They did not write back to us. So as we were waiting to show up on Monday to present our views, over the weekend they were busy processing, writing a report. That's problematic, right, Honorable Speaker, because you see, we are supposed to be a people-centered parliament, meaning that the laws we pass, which should be for the good of the people, those people should be consulted so that they have their input. And by the way, you can end up disregarding the input of those stakeholders, but listen to them. You cannot disregard them and think it's okay. No, listen to them, and then you can disregard them. But when you don't give them opportunity to show up, you are violating our laws. Right, Honorable Speaker, finally, I was alarmed because you see, we seem to be creating and painting an atmosphere that regardless of what the views that come through are, this bill is finito. I saw with sadness the government chief whip late in the night. He was speaking to the media. He said, we have met and concluded that this bill is going to be passed as is. That worried me because the government chief whip, who is our colleague here, knows that this bill, the UPDF amendment bill, was brought to this house by government. I had thought that as government chief whip, you would be interested in a bill that you have brought.
So what is the procedure?
I am raising it, I'm building it, right, Honorable Speaker. I had thought that as government chief whip, you would be interested in input of different stakeholders into your bill as government. But when you bring a bill, and then you say, we are going to pass it as is, regardless of any other input, regardless whether consultations have happened or not, that is problematic. That is outside the law. Right, Honorable Speaker, my colleagues, and I want to appreciate them, they made through the night to even put together a minority report. But what you are saying is that that is disregarded. Right, Honorable Speaker,
give me the minority. Where is the minority?
Is it all right that we sit here and pretend that we are processing a bill within the law, that we are capturing the views of all the other people, and yet not? Because we gave you the benefit of doubt to say, okay, let's partake in this process. But you have abused that because you're saying we don't care. And at night, the government chief whip says, regardless, we are passing it as it is. So why did you invite people? Maybe that's why you didn't even give them time.
Thank you.
Right, Honorable Speaker, finally, I am very hard-pressed, together with my colleagues, for us to sit here and participate in a sham process. And I'm calling it a sham process because it is pretentious. When you bring a bill here, you should give it time for people to have their input. But you are saying, we don't want your input, we are going to pass the bill as is. That's why, Right Honorable Speaker, you did not rein in on the committee to give adequate time to the stakeholders. That means this is pretentious, this is a sham for these two bills, the UPDF amendment bill and the political parties amendment bill. So, Right Honorable Speaker, myself together with my colleagues, we are hard pressed to participate in this sham process. So we shall leave you here to participate in your sham process, to process your bill, pretending that you are getting the input of the people of Uganda and yet not. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.